and some part of this week, what have we been learning about? Who can refresh our memories about what we've been learning about? What have we been talking about this past few days? Lakeisha, go. Adaptation and extinction. What was the new word that we learned on Monday? Kayla? Natural selection. So who can give us a little bit of an idea of what those three words are and how do they relate to this picture that is on the board? Talia.
Well, natural selection is when there's no interference with the humans, as in they mate by their choice.
Right. So all of these organisms, right? There's no human interaction. And what happens when animals reproduce? What are they passing on to their offsprings?
Their genes.
Their genes and their traits, right? Now, what do we know about genes? Do we all have the same exact genes or no? No, right? What is that called? That vocabulary word that we learned that said that everybody is different and nobody shares the exact same pairs of genes.
Mutation.
It's not mutation. We learned it right before the word mutation.
It's DNA.
No, because DNA is what's in your cells, right?
Radio.
No. Who can help us out? Who remembers? Starts with a G.
Oh,
It's genetic variation, right? Genetic variation tells us that no two people look exactly the same. Remember the example that I gave you about Beyonce and JC and Baby Blue Ivy?
Yeah.
Right? That even though they are related, right? Even though there is their daughter, she doesn't look exactly like Beyonce or exactly like JC because there is genetic variation. So now on Monday, we started talking about natural selection, and who remember this guy's name? What did we read about him?
Chris something.
Darwin.
Darwin.
I heard it, Darwin, right? Where did he travel to?
Carlos.
You said it. Where did he travel to, Joey?
New York.
So with a G.
Germany.
You said it. The Galapagos Island, right? So then, what did he find in the Galapagos Island? What was he studying? Dimitri. He was studying birds. Anybody know what those birds were called?
There was a black
Black. I heard it somewhere over here. No. What is it?
Trench.
No.
There was a bird.
What are these birds called?
Oh, bees.
Sailing? Finches, right? So when we are observing this picture, right, what is different about all of these different types of birds? The beaks, right? So somewhere in that island, he found that even though there were a bunch of finches, they all have specific beaks. Now, why do you think they all had different types of beaks? Why did that happen? Why, if they're the same species, why don't they all look the same? Jakira.
Because some birds have to dig in smaller holes, so their beak has to be smaller.
Okay, so it has to do with them trying to reach places, different places. It has to do with genetic variation, right? Because depending on what genes were passed down to them, they're going to look different. Now, why do you think some birds need very specific beaks, like this long beak, and some birds need beaks that are a lot bigger? Kayla.
Adapt to like different environments.
So you think they adapted to different environments? Why would they have to adapt to different environments? Let's
So that they could survive.
So that they could survive. If animals are able to adapt to different environments and they can survive, what are they able to do afterwards? They can reproduce. Remember that is the main goal of any organism. They want to reproduce. They want to pass on their genes to their offspring, right? But the only way that they can do that is if they can survive, because it's survival of the fittest, right? So then, what we are going to be doing today, you guys are going to be in a habitat, and each person in your group is going to be a different type of finch. And what you guys are going to be doing, you are going to be competing for resources. And you are going to notice that some beaks are better than others in different habitats. What do we know happens if animals cannot survive, or if they cannot find resources, or there's competition? Raising your hands, please. Dimitri. They will start to get extinct, right? What are some examples of organisms that we know that have gone extinct?
Giraffes. No.
We still have giraffes.
The bears, the black bears.
Okay, so some species of the bears have gone extinct. What else? The dodo bird has gone extinct. Okay, dinosaurs maybe, right?
What you say,
Maybe some types of lizards have also gone extinct. Good job,
Komodo
okay?
They
So,
all
again, coming back in 3, coming back in 2, coming back in 1. Today, we are going to take the role of these finches. And what's going to happen is that there's going to be 3 different types of beaks. There's going to be a scissor beak. There's going to be a spoon beak. And there's going to be a tweezer beak. So everybody in your group is going to be one of these 3 different types of finches. And you guys are going to be competing to see which one's going to catch the most food. If you can catch the most food, what's going to happen to you?
You're gonna be the one to reproduce more.
You're going to be the one to reproduce more. If you cannot catch any food, what's going to happen to you?
You're gonna die.
You're going to go extinct, right? Okay, so I'm going to start passing out your materials, and then we are going to go ahead and get started. Any questions last week? Yesterday, we were talking about natural selection, right? We did the experiment, we did the lab, where we all took part to being a finch. And what were the 3 types of beaks that we had? No, what was one of them?
The tweezers.
The tweezers were one,
The spoon.
the spoon, and the scissors. So now raise your hand if you were a spoon.
Me. And
Alright.
the spoon gotta move up.
So the spoons, like we could see in our data, right? How did the spoons do overall?
They did very well.
They did very well, right? In which type of food environment did they do the best?
And the beans.
In the beans, right? Because we see that out of
I
all
did
the
that.
different types of foods, the beans were the ones that they were able to catch the most. Now, what would happen to the spoons if they were in an environment where they only had rubber bands? They wouldn't do so well, right? Why wouldn't they do so well? Who would actually overpower them if they were in an environment where only rubber bands could exist?
The tweezers.
The tweezers in that case would win. So let's have a hypothetical scenario where all of the pebbles and all of the toothpicks and all of the beans disappear from that environment.
They will all
Then
extinct.
what would happen to the spoons?
The
Jakarta.
spoons, it won't be none to eat. They'll extinct.
So then what would happen to their population? Would it stay the same? Would it increase or decrease?
It would decrease.
It would decrease to
It would decrease, right? And then whose population, if we only had this type of food, would eventually start to increase?
The tweezers.
The tweezers, right? Okay, so then now let's look back at the overall environment. And who didn't do so well?
The scissors.
Who was the scissors? Raise your hand, scissors. Because sadly, you have gone extinct. I am so sorry. Rest in peace, tweezers. Okay, so like we can see here, right? Let's go ahead and turn to. Oh yeah, the scissors. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's actually go to our questions and let's go to where it said hot questions analysis. Everybody should be there. See, Manuel is there. Kyra is also there. Lexus is there. Leandra is already there. Good job.
No.
Let's take 10 seconds to everybody get on this page where we have our analysis questions. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so yesterday we went over questions 1 through 4, and now today let's go ahead and go over questions 1, 2 through 6 and our conclusion. Okay, after we do our conclusion, I'm going to collect back the papers, and then we're going to start with the theory of evolution, which kind of ties all that we've learned into this one single lesson, so we can see how everything kind of relates to one another, okay? So question number 1. Yes. Question number 1 was, what did you notice about your behavior when you were trying to catch the food? What sort of things were you doing? What were you doing to make sure that you got the most food? Jakarta.
Fighting.
You were fighting? I hope not.
No, like pushing,
slapping
each
people's
other,
hands.
like stealing the food.
Okay, so you were kind of like, you were aggressive towards getting the food, right? Because you really wanted to survive. What else were you type of doing? So do you feel like there was a competition between the other people in your team?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Do you think that happens in the wild?
Yes.
Yeah, right? It's like we said, it's survival of the fittest. So when you're an animal, right, and you don't have like a grocery store that you can go to, or you don't have like things like that, you have to compete with other animals in order to be able to survive. Now, Was your behavior similar to the behavior of the animals in the wild?
Yeah.
Yes,
Aggressive.
right? So then, for question number 1, you're going to be explaining how was your behavior similar to the behaviors of those animals in the wild, like the finches in the Galapagos Islands. Now, question number 2. Let's answer this one together. If you already answered it, that's great. If not, pay close attention, okay? Yes, question.
I'm sorry, but is that an ostrich?
Picture. No. Okay. So, question number 2. Which type of beef was best adapted for each type of food? So if we are looking at each individual type of food, which beef was best adapted for the beans?
The spoon.
The spoon, right? Which beef was best adapted for the rubber
The
bands?
tweezers.
The tweezers. So that's what we're going to be writing. We're going to be looking at our data, and we're going to be analyzing to see for which type of food, which type of beef did the best. So let's go ahead and take about 1 minute to answer that question. Make sure to be looking back at your own data so you have the correct analysis. Like I said, if you already have this answer, then just sit back and wait for the rest of us. So you're going to be looking at the data. For which type of food who did the best? So for the beans, who did the best in the beans? The spoons, right? You would say in the beans category, the spoons did the best.
Oh, wait. Like, Miss B,
Yes.
like, if the bird, like, you, like, if it was really a bird right there, like, the rubber bands, they're like for worms or something.
It could be, right? The rubber bands kind of resemble the worms.
Yeah.
So if you were the tweezers, you would probably be able to get the worms better. Actually, think about it this way, right? Where do worms usually live?
Under the soil.
Under the soil, right? Under the ground. So why do you think the tweezers were so helpful? If
Yeah,
were
so they
worms?
could dig into the ground. Yeah,
Exactly. They could probably dig into the ground and be able to, or even if the worms make small little holes, the tweezers will be able to actually get in those little holes and catch the worms, right? So that was a good connection.
You killed my animal.
Who, the worm?
No, you killed my bird.
Oh, who are you?
Scissors.
Now, scissors could get inside the whole
The
thing.
scissors were not. I was a scissor too, and when I was trying to
was
catch the
useless.
beans, it was so difficult. It was like it
It
was
was
hard.
chocolate beans, huh?
Dimitri cut one of the.
I got like 4.
I got
Meanwhile,
zero.
like who was the spoons in my team? You were
You
the
got the
Lexi got like 165. So I was like, okay. All right, so let's go ahead. If you're still working on number 2, that's okay. But let's go ahead and move on to number 3. It says, obviously, most habitats have more than
You
one
said don't
food
do
type. Oh, you're right. Okay, so then let's move on to question 4. Because we didn't do the trial where you had to put all the food in there, okay? But if you were to put all the food in the same habitat, what do you think that the people who were spoons, what would they want to catch the most?
The beans.
The beans, right? Because they are better
There's more
adapted to
protein.
catch the beans. Now, if we put all this food, what type of food would the tweezers want to eat the most?
They don't want to eat the rubber band.
The toothpick, because they're more able to catch toothpicks, right? And then the scissors, what would they want to eat the most?
The rubber
The
band.
two-
I mean, the 2-bit.
The
pebbles.
The pebbles, right? Because they can catch more pebbles than anything else.
No.
Okay,
I ain't catch
so number 4. What if the paper clip? What if we introduced new paper clips? And those paper clips were high protein beetles that were 4 times more nutritious than any of the other food items. What do you think? You as a bird, what would you do differently? You know?
Maybe get more aggressively and try to catch it more faster.
Okay, what would you try to catch faster?
The beetle,
The beetles. Why?
because it has 4 times more of the nutrients.
Exactly. Like birds, like animals in the wild, right? If you have something that gives you more protein, if you have something that gives you more nutrients, then you're going to want to eat that more. Okay? It's okay. Thank you. All right. So now let's go ahead and go to number 5. Number 5 said, what would happen if all the bird types in this activity flew to an island where no birds had been before, and the only food available were the pebbles, right? Because we replaced macaroni with pebbles. So then, which birds will be most successful, and which birds will be least successful? I need somebody else to answer other than the people over here. I need some people in the back to give me an answer. Shanara, okay? So if we had all these different types of birds go to an island where there were only pebbles, who do you think would be the most successful?
The one with the spoon beak.
The one with the spoon beak, right? How did you get to that answer?
Because when I did the experiment, I was the one in the team who got the most of the pebbles.
Because you were the spoon? Okay, perfect, right? So she was thinking back about the experiment, and she knows that when they were looking at the pebbles, she was the one that was able to catch the most food when she was the spoon. And now, who would be the least successful?
The scissors.
The scissors. Why, Cleandre?
Because it was the least, I'm not.
Yes, you do. Come on.
No, you don't.
They were what? The scissors did what?
It was
They
hard
were
to
useless.
get up with the scissors.
Exactly. It was really difficult to get the pebbles with the scissors, so if they all go to this island where there's only pebbles, they're not going to do so well. What's going to eventually happen to the scissors?
It's gonna die out.
They're going to begin to die off, and if a lot of that population dies off, what's going to happen to them?
No more, ain't no more.
They're going to go
Kill my
extinct.
species.
Now, number 6. If we came back to the same island, right, what should we expect to see? Again, what types of birds are we going to see a lot of? What types of birds are we going to see a little bit of? And what types of birds are just going to, we're going to have a medium-sized population? Kayla?
A lot of birds will have spoons, and then the least will be like the scissors.
Right.
Then like the middle will be the pieces.
Perfect. So that's what you need to answer for number 6. And then for the conclusion, I'm going to let you guys do that on your own. And the conclusion part says, how does the lab simulation provide support for the theory of evolution? And we're actually going to do that after we finish our lesson today, because today we are going to talk about this theory of evolution. And what you guys are going to realize is that everything that we've learned so far falls under this theory of evolution. So our lesson started going really specific with genetic variation and adaptation. Then we learned about natural selection. And now we're looking at the overall theory, which is the theory of evolution. I'm going to give you guys